Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Browse News broadcast. According to Zio Shabbat, Iran has launched drone attacks against U.S. forces following an incident on April 19th where the U.S. destroyer U.S. Spruance intercepted an Iranian freighter, the Tuska. The American warship reportedly fired upon the Tuska's engine room to halt it before U.S. forces boarded and seized the vessel. Iran expressed strong dissatisfaction with this action, with its military command spokesperson warning of imminent retaliation against what they termed armed piracy by the U.S. military. Iranian media, including the semi-official Tasnim news agency and state television, reported that Iranian drones targeted multiple U.S. vessels. However, specifics regarding whether the targets were military or civilian were not provided, indicating a potential. According to GG Press, Israeli Defense Minister Katz announced on the 19th that Israel would continue its attacks on southern Lebanon, stating that buildings used by the Shiite group Hezbollah near the border must be crushed. He further asserted that structures that threaten soldiers and roads suspected of having explosives must be destroyed immediately, indicating a firm policy of sustained offensive action. This declaration comes despite a 10-day ceasefire agreement between Israel and the Lebanese government, which began on the 17th. However, Israel maintains its stance that it reserves the right to take self-defense measures if an imminent threat from Hezbollah arises. Reuters reported that on the same day, the Israeli military unveiled a map of new deployment lines, effectively taking control of dozens of evacuated villages in southern Lebanon. These lines extend 5 to 10 kilometers into Lebanese territory from the border and are anticipated to be designated as a buffer zone to prevent attacks against. GG Press reports that concerns are escalating in the United States regarding private credit, a form of non-bank lending. This practice involves investment firms raising funds, often through specialized funds, and then lending these pooled resources to companies, promising high returns to investors. However, growing apprehension about the quality of these loans has emerged, with some observers drawing unsettling parallels to the conditions that preceded the 2008 Lehman shock. Private credit has experienced rapid growth since the Lehman shock, largely filling the void left by banks that tightened regulations on high-risk lending. The global market for private credit is estimated at approximately $2 trillion, with the majority concentrated in the U.S. The current wave of concern was triggered last autumn by the bankruptcies of 2 U.S. automotive-related companies, which were found to have sourced funds from the private credit market amid suspicions of improprieties like collateral reuse. Jamie Dimon, CEO of J.P. Morgan Chase, famously warned of cockroaches, suggesting these issues might be more widespread. More recently, pessimism stemming from the potential for artificial intelligence to replace software services has caused anxiety to spread to private credit funds heavily invested in the software sector, leading to a sharp increase in redemption requests. While experts currently do not anticipate a systemic financial crisis, market participants are on alert, with some describing the situation as a canary in the coal mine scenario, due to the similarities with pre-Lehman shock liquidity turmoil. Japanese financial institutions in New York express unease over the difficulty in assessing the true extent of these risks. Global oil prices rose sharply in Asia, with benchmark Brent crude futures up 4.74% to 94 tons, the $24.66 a barrel, and U.S. West Texas Intermediate, WTI, rising 5.6% to $88.55. This comes after U.S. President Donald Trump announced on April 19, 2026, the seizure of an Iranian-flagged cargo ship. The announcement followed Iran's statement on April 18 that it would again close the Strait of Hormuz to merchant vessels, threatening to target any approaching ships. The conflict between the U.S., Israel, and Iran, which began on February 28, has caused significant volatility in energy markets. Iran's national media reported that the country has no plans to participate in renewed negotiations, which President Trump stated would involve Vice President J.D. Vance leading a U.S. delegation to Pakistan on April 20. The ongoing closure of the Strait of Hormuz, through which about 20% of the world's crude oil and LNG typically passes, has triggered a global energy crisis, leading to fuel shortages and conservation measures across Asia and warnings from the IEA about Europe's aviation fuel reserves, as reported by BBC business reporter Peter Hoskins. NPR reports that UK police announced Sunday they are investigating whether a series of arson attacks on Jewish sites in London are the work of Iranian proxies. The latest incident, which caused minor damage to a North London synagogue on Saturday night, is part of a string of blazes. Deputy Assistant Commissioner Vicky Evans of the Metropolitan Police stated that a group named Harakat Ashab al-Yaman al-Islamiyah claimed responsibility online and may have links to Iran. Police are examining whether the Iranian regime is using criminal proxies in London. Israel's government describes this group as recently founded, possibly linked to an Iranian proxy, and also claims responsibility for synagogue attacks in Belgium and the Netherlands. Chief Rabbi Ephraim Mervis expressed concern that British Jews face a sustained campaign of violence and intimidation. Prime Minister Keir Starmer condemned the attacks as abhorrent and vowed to bring those responsible to justice. Britain's MI5 previously reported disrupting over 20 Iran-backed plots within the past. That's all for this video. Thank you for watching. See you in the next video.